What is up, everybody? Ninja Nick here with Tactical Gaming, bringing you guys another more Pegasus video. In this one, Hassan has accidentally admitted everything. I'm curious on what he accidentally admitted, because, I mean, there's no accident about everything he says. He always sits there and, tells people how he feels about, Muslims and terrorism and all that. He has a full support for it, despite the fact that he himself claimed that he isn't Muslim and he doesn't follow the law of it all, which is, by example of the fact that he literally paints his nails, eats pork, and does a lot of other stuff he probably shouldn't do. But before we fully get into this, make sure you guys check out more Pegasus and check out my channel sponsor, W.GG, and use my code TacticalGaming90. They help smaller creators out and everything. They help with sponsorships and get people well known. Go check them out. If you're a smaller content creator, you might actually be able to get sponsored by them. Give you a little code and everything you use. Zero sugar, non-jittery energy supplements. So go check them out and let's get into this, guys.
A series so traitorous, even Shoulder Pad Piker subscribed. In today's video, Hassan continues his campaign to reach the kids with his politics. This time, he's gone to Yale University and is talking about the end of the American empire. The Yale audience is a mixed bag of Hassan glazers and Hassan haters who constantly hiss at him like he's a snake.
Communist countries was a bad thing.
He starts off his speech making a joke about threatening to murder a U.S. senator. Very classy. He then talks about how evil America is and how defeating the Nazis was actually a bad thing. Bruh.
So
he's now doubling down on his statement supporting the USSR and Joseph Stalin. 20 million people killed, by the way. Absolutely insane. He admits they were a ruthless authoritarian dictatorship, but somehow justifies it, saying that it's better than American outcomes.
How?
He then quotes another one of his favorite people, Chairman Mao. A student absolutely destroys Hassan. Mr. Beast is being called out by streamers Jinxie and XQC for his previous awkward Team Water stream, where he was guilting streamers into donating. Subscribe, or you gotta attend a Hassan Piker speech in person. Now let's begin. Right, so Hassan is continuing his campaign to appeal to the youth, going to colleges to give his classic Diddy Piker speeches. So in case you missed last time, he basically went to Stanford University and he was crying because they reduced his venue size.
This literally was a 1,000 person venue that was fucking sold out. They swapped it to a 350 person venue instead.
He was also introduced by a guy with criminal charges, and he was a big fan of Hassan, of course.
Of course he is.
I myself am one of 11 students and alumni of Stanford University who are currently facing 3 years in prison on 2 felony counts for a sit-in at the university president's office in 2020.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't just
a sit-in. Well, that brings us to today. He's now at Yale University, another Ivy League school, and he's debating the end of the American empire. Interesting. So Hassan is obviously on the anti-America side, the pro-terrorist side.
See, he's literally talking about the end of the American empire, meaning trying to literally eliminate America and the way it is. That sounds treasonous to me.
Pro-communism side, and he's glazing a bunch of dictators here.
Currently on our way to Yale Union, where we are going to be participating in a debate. The debate is about ending the American empire. It's a resolution.
Quite contentious, it seems, that there were a lot of people that didn't want me to come here today and speak to all of you. That's right.
Very smart people.
I know what that means now.
Right, so basically they are hissing, which is kind of like booing the guy on stage. In SpongeBob terms, this would be like throwing rotten tomatoes at them, right? And I mean, it totally fits because Hassan is a snake. Even XQC's chat calls him Hassan. So yeah, shout out to the few people with common sense there, although a lot of them are surrounded by idiots, unfortunately. So anyways, he decides to start his speech instantly making a joke about Rick Scott, a senator and political opponent of his that you might remember.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
I'm especially sad that Senator Rick Scott couldn't make it.
Dude,
you get it, guys.
I literally can't wait until they pull your ass into a fucking courtroom and start hitting you with charges, man. Oh my god.
Hasan threatened to murder him. That's the joke. That's the funny, that Hasan issues death threats regularly. That's the funny part. Isn't that peak comedy, guys? So again, let's just reiterate, right? Hasan has the audacity to call half of America terrorists, as he was doing last video, when he's out here issuing death threats and just laughing about the situation here without an apology at all. And obviously, Hasan never does anything himself, right? Some insane person in his audience actually takes action on behalf of him, and then Hasan just walks free. Of course, in a previous video, we also unearthed...
And that, in my opinion, is where all his rhetoric should be used against him. I'm hoping they're collecting all the VODs and everything else, and they're going to use this as a means to deport his ass and hit him with criminal charges.
That he actually threatened Charlie Kirk's life as well, and then a couple years later he happened to get assassinated. No connection there, just saying that, hey, Hasan threatens to murder someone, and then that person ends up dying. And obviously there's no one-to-one connection. There probably never will be, because this is how Hasan slides by with his dangerous rhetoric, right? He just says this violent, unhinged shit. He keeps escalating, and then he just jokes about it. And I find it interesting that he's having a debate here at Yale, because
what I don't get is people sat there and were all up in arms about Trump's speech way back in the day when, he lost to Biden, and he talked about, peacefully assembling. People freaked the fuck out and said he had a call to action. He wanted people to, get violent and shit. But yet Hasan, who can literally call for violence, the death of people, he hasn't been arrested yet? This is the hypocrisy of the left and everyone leaning that direction. Is they totally justify all these evil deeds these people do and say, but then will vilify anyone for any kind of minor thing on the other side. It's really ridiculous and asinine.
He loses a debate. He literally threatens to murder the other person. So I wonder what he's going to say to these students here. So then, like a classic comedian, recycling his jokes, Hasan here does his classic spiel. Talks about how shit America is and gets some claps.
I'm sure you had many opinions on whether or not we should end the U.S. empire and the global capitalist system, which is what I will be talking about today. And then your grandparents are probably going to hear about it on Fox News tomorrow. But it's an interesting resolution. End the U.S. empire. It's interesting because how do you end something that's already in the process of dying?
Really? Where is that and how is that?
Because that's the situation with the American empire as it stands today. But the United States, fueled by anti-communist fervor, turned against its former ally, the Soviet Union.
We didn't turn against them. They turned against us, genius.
This next phase of the American empire was structured as a world competition between Washington and Moscow. Everywhere the United States looked, it found communists under the floorboards, under the beds, both real and imagined. And naturally, this anti-communist struggle went hand in hand with American imperial interest.
Yeah, I mean, hilarious.
There was literally communists in the 1930s all the way up to, I think, the 1960s, and they were being ousted because they were constantly trying to turn the country communist. That way, the communism countries could come in and be like, haha, we have control. Are you fucking retarded, Hasan? I'm guessing that's your plan.
Hasan talks about hallucinating communism, when these regimes were obviously communist, openly communist. And I find it interesting, he's talking about hallucination, when this guy sees Israel in his cereal and in his walls. Brother, you blamed shocking your dog on Israel. You blame random peanut VTubers making fun of you, saying they're made in an Israeli lab.
Yeah. Bro, this is the number one streamer of Israel. Israel's finest.
You're an absolute fucking clown who is always projecting. Every single word out of his mouth is insane projection. And you know, I'm at least glad that unlike some of the other universities, at least there's a mix of hisses and claps here. I mean, this is a debate, so I understand that there's people that will be disagreeing with him. That's at least a good start, except we know that Hasan is not going to be listening to them at all, right?
No.
Goes in one ear and out the other. He's basically only there to recruit more people to his cult. And you guys actually let me know that these other universities also have a bunch of people that don't like him. They just don't show up to the speech, right? Which is understandable. Like, I probably wouldn't show up to a Hasan Piker speech, all right? You probably have better things to do. I'd probably look it up for content from my YouTube channel, but that's about it. So then he talks about the many evils of America and then proceeds to glaze a bunch of, like, communist dictatorships.
From Europe to East Asia, the interests of our investors and our corporations were protected, and protected unconditionally, mind you. And rather than start converting our swords into plowshares, at the end of World War II, we dropped atom bombs, 2 of them to be exact, to show the rest of the...
That's how we ended World War II, at least with Japan. Are you fucking serious? Trying to rewrite history
that we
now?
had that capacity to change the tides of history in an irreparable manner. We helped out Nazi and Japanese war criminals. We became the monsters that we had supposedly vanquished. What Americans call the Cold War was, to most of the people on the planet, an endless series of butcheries, each more perverse and more tragic than the last.
Yeah, you know, Hasan, you would actually have a point if you were remotely consistent at all, right? You can criticize, like, the intervention America does. You can talk about the evils and dropping bombs and how bad war is and everything. The only thing is, it only makes sense if you denounce evils in other places too.
Yeah.
But when it comes to all these communist dictatorships, Hasan basically just hand waves them, right? He goes, well, actually, they're doing a great job, which is why I'm going on a humanitarian mission here, obviously.
Yeah.
The thing is, if Hasan actually cared about civilians dying, he would first and foremost, before anything, condemn the terrorist groups that he loves so much. So when I hear all...
Yeah, but he won't. He justifies all their actions, every single thing they do, all the rapes, all the bombings, all the shootings, all the murder. Quite literally, actually, Iran is now getting ready to start executing some of the protesters that they captured, right? And did not kill. So the 40,000 that they killed, they also captured a whole bunch of other ones, and they're now getting ready to now execute them in front of everybody. And most of them are all women. Where are the feminist, liberal little crybabies right now? Why ain't they stepping up and saying, Iran is wrong, Iran is wrong? Where are these people?
All this talk by Hasan going, oh yeah, America is so bad, they're so evil, they're the most evil regime apparently, they're a terrorist organization. I'm really just waiting for him to be consistent, right? To show that he actually does care about oppression. Because you can criticize a bunch of things, but it's a complete scapegoat for Hasan. It's a complete lie. It's basically a means of deflection, right? And the one thing you'll never do is honest comparisons, right? This is the guy who tries to say that North Korea is not a dictatorship. The guy who glazes the USSR, as we'll get to in a second as well. You know, 10 to 20 million people dying, completely hand-waved. And I find it interesting, you see a guy who makes a tweet and immediately say, this person Hitler. But then when there are these dictators, legitimately, who have already killed, this isn't a tweet or anything, they've already killed tens of millions of people, those are hand-waved. I just don't understand. Like, you have to be consistent there. You know, the more I see Hasan in these sort of settings, I have a feeling that he might actually try to run for office later in his life, like actually try to become a politician, potentially America's next dictator, like straight up. Now, he always says that he has no political aspirations, right, for now, but I think it's a bait and switch, right, trying to get people to leave him alone while he quietly builds up this cultish army and tries to basically destroy the entire world. It's unironically Hasan the cartoon villain's plan, which will never come to fruition, obviously, but like, he's comically evil. So then Hasan implies that defeating the Nazis was a bad thing, right? Because America bad, I guess. So the guy calling everybody Nazis is an insult, right? Zionist Nazis, actually, right? He is now playing defense for Nazis. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't really be surprised. We all know what he thinks about Jewish people.
Packed to the fucking gills with the most inbred, uneducated, ultra-nationalist, rabid Haredi population.
What was the point of defeating the Nazis if we went on to dominate so much of the globe as violently as we have? Was the point of all of it so that we could have the rest of the world to ourselves? The war that began in 1939 ended. But in the ideological dialogue between the two worlds and two leaders, Roosevelt lost the war. The real victor was Adolf Hitler. It is my personal opinion that the contemporary world is moved by the ideas that served as the foundation on which Hitler rose to power.
I bet Hitler is like his favorite person. I bet he loves
70
Hitler.
years later, I think history has proven Arevalo right. In place after place, time after time, the United States can never settle down its imperial bloodlust, this forever hunt for manifest destiny.
Dude, what is wrong with you?
We can draw a straight line from indigenous massacres of the early United States to the 20th century.
Canada did it. Your people did it.
Have created in the third
Everyone's
world.
done that.
Of course, you know, I guess
like, literally, hold America to the same standard. Okay, well, dude, you know that every single country around the world has done slavery. They've murdered mass amounts of people, whole villages of people all over. Africa's done it. Muslims in Iraq and Iran, back when there were a whole bunch of tribes, there was tribal wars, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, oh, America killed a whole bunch of indigenous people. Yeah, and indigenous people were killing a whole bunch of white American settlers. It was a war. People were fighting. It is an ugly, ugly thing. There's a bunch of natives raping and kidnapping and killing a whole bunch of white women, white dudes, all that kind of stuff, okay? So, yeah, they killed a lot of indigenous people. Was it wrong? Yes. Did they make up for it? Yes. At least they can say that, unlike the Muslims who are continuously fighting and warring with every single group of people around the world.
America shouldn't have defeated the Nazis. They should have let them win, actually. I mean, they do share an ideology with Hasan and his terrorist buddies, right? Jews. Both extremely anti-Semitic, right? I mean, I imagine in the multiverse, in an alternate timeline, Hasan is like this president, right? Evil dictator or whatever. Sneeko is his right-hand man. Truly the darkest timeline ever. We gotta make sure that doesn't happen in our reality by spreading the message that Hasan is a colossal regard. Also, just a side note, but the hissing crowd is really dedicated. Like, they did it the entire speech. They didn't even stop at all.
Good job.
And I will say it is annoying as hell, but to be honest, so are the flippin' clappers who glaze them after every 5 words. So I guess in that sense, it's warranted. By the way, who decided this stupid ass like debate culture where you clap after every line or something? Like, just wait till the end of the speech or something. It's so annoying. Like, I never get it. Anyways, moving on to the main part here where Hasan talks about the USSR. And this is the part that's going viral on Twitter. So remember a while back, Hasan said that it's unfortunate that America defeated the USSR? Yeah. Obviously because he's pro-communism, he's pro-dictators, pro-Stalin, of course.
We are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately.
Well, so now he addresses that clip, and in classic Diddy Piker fashion, he doubles down, right? So he could have said,
he literally
it was
wants
in the heat
the
of the
mass
moment, it was a
murder
mistake,
and
I didn't mean it, right? But
like,
this guy's
people who
so
don't agree
unhinged.
with the
Bro's
communist
like,
dictatorship.
Hitler bad, but Stalin though, big fan actually.
Right?
Hasan explains why the fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century, at his Yale speech.
At Zohran Mamdani's election victory night party, I was interviewed by a media outlet where I said,
yeah, Zohran Mamdani blocked July 24th
and the USSR
and July 4th and a whole bunch of other stuff.
This was quite the controversial statement at the time. Fox News still
No
loves
more 4th of July for
repeating
people in
this
New York.
soundbite. And some Democrats also channel that frustration as well. They say, how dare you, Hassan? The USSR was our enemy. They were ruthless, authoritarian.
They were evil as fuck.
The fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century.
Fucking idiot.
Just wait. Listen, maybe you'll agree.
No.
Okay, hold up.
No.
So before we hear the reasoning here, right, let me just make it clear. Hassan is doubling down here, despite admitting and acknowledging that they were a ruthless authoritarian dictatorship. He isn't even denying that they were bad, right? You know, when he was talking about North Korea in the past, he would say that, no, Western leaders are infinitely worse, right? He would try to say that, no, North Korea isn't actually that bad. Here he's going, oh no, they actually were bad, guys. This is basically the logic of Hitler is bad, guys, but...
So stupid.
But... Stalin was bad, guys, but... Yeah, so just in case you guys didn't know, around 10 to 20 million people were killed by the Soviet regime. Yeah. You know, there was the Gulag, obviously, very famous. The famines, it was the Great Purge. So here we have Hassan, literally, unironically, supporting mass murder, right? Hand-waving all of this.
Not a surprise.
He also simultaneously goes, genocide bad. Right? This is why nobody believes you, Hassan. You're a massive fucking hypocrite. You hand-wave murder because it's done by communists, apparently. But then you have the audacity to talk about Israel-Palestine as if you actually care at all about civilians.
Yeah,
now,
he doesn't
I haven't
care about
watched his
anybody
next part.
other than
Let
himself.
me guess his reasoning, okay? Stalin bad because America, right? But America, though. But America worse, right? Let's see.
Maybe you'll agree. Not only was there incalculable harm done to every single country under its banner, child prostitution.
Funny thing you bring up child prostitution and you're totally for illegal immigration, which does a lot of that. And then at the same time, you went to a brothel in Germany where they had underage minors. That is a fact, Hassan. So, I bet you're a pro in child prostitution.
Skyrocketing suicide rates, life expectancy plummeting. But America was no longer contested around the globe.
Okay, I'm going to give myself like a 7 out of 10.
So, he is literally blaming America for what the USSR did to its own people. Why am I not surprised?
For that one, you know, close enough. So, the reason it's bad is because America is a superpower now and apparently uncontested, right? And apparently, that is the worst case scenario for Hassan. He can't imagine anything worse than America having power, right? So the implication is it would still be better if the USSR was in power, the communist regime was in power, the dictators were actually ruling the world. So unironically, according to Hassan, his ideal world would be a communist paradise ruled by dictators. I assume Hassan would be leader. He would shock all dogs, right? No dog would be free. Every dog would be captured and shocked. Shock collar installed because he's an animal abuser. He would shut off all social media because it's out of context, obviously. And he would forcefully marry Asmongold, the Diddy Pike of Paradise, of course. At this point, I don't even know how Hassan Glazers defend him, right? Because they really claim to be anti-oppression, anti-authoritarian, right? One of the slogans that was going around was "No kings, communism. No kings allowed. No dictators allowed." And then they watched this man justify the USSR.
Yeah,
brother, what the fuck is their chain of logic? Somebody explain to me. How are they?
Their logic is retardation. That is literally what their logic is. It's retardation. There's no way these people actually have a true thought in their head. They don't think for themselves. They just hear someone they like and find attractive or some fucking weird shit and go, "Oh, that's what they believe? I believe it too."
pro-LGBT and pro-Hezbollah. Like, how does any of this make sense? You really have to uninstall your brain, man. Scientists are legitimately going to be studying the brain of a Hassan Piker fan for centuries. That shit has got some terminal virus from alien space or something. Who responded, I toned down my terrorist-supporting extremist propaganda so I can trick more people into being brainwashed by my pseudo-intellectual bullshit. Oh yeah, these communist regimes founded on mass starvation, dictators, and other atrocities are just swell, guys.
Yeah.
Aren't we just so sad the West won? Give me a break. Hassan would support aliens annihilating the Earth's population as long as America was first. Yep. I mean, he would 100% get behind that. In a utilitarian perspective, of course. You see, America is just doing so much bad into the world and the universe. Surely being eliminated by aliens would be...
It's so funny, too, because, like, all these people, they want America out of, like, all the wars, every other country's, like, business and everything. But then when America actually talks about it, people go, oh, that's wrong. You have all this influence, all this power, all this money, all this, but you won't help these people. Why? Oh, you're so wrong. So it's like, we're fucked if we do help, and then we're fucked if we don't help. That's where it's like, in my opinion, I think we should just take care of America and our wants, our needs, and fuck everyone else outside of this country. Because the fact of the matter is, we have seen this already. We don't have real allies with any of these groups or nations. I would say maybe Poland. Poland's a pretty good ally. They've been pretty much on board with us a good portion of the time. Japan's up and down. But majority of every other country that we've ever dealt with, especially Israel, does not actually give a shit about what we want. Because if they did, they wouldn't be selling excess ammunition, arms, and all this other kind of stuff and technology to fucking China.
Great. Bro skipped history class for sure if he thinks the USSR was a good thing to anyone, but to rich a-holes like him.
Yeah.
No, quite the opposite. He probably took several history classes, considering this is probably what they're teaching nowadays. What the frick is this guy talking about? The fall of the USSR is inevitable and a net positive of humanity. Whatever this guy cope on needs to be studied. As always, Mr. Eric, first in line, sitting in that cuck chair. Great point here from Hassan. America treating the world like its playground. Post-Soviet Union has really led us to the problems we see today. Average American doesn't care what their military does around the globe. They say not our problem, you destroy any oil-producing country. And what would the USSR actually be doing? I'm sure they'd just be leaving everybody in peace and quiet.
Yeah, what is Russia
Anyways,
been doing
Hassan is going
for the
viral
last
for
few
this
years?
clip on Twitter a bunch of times. I would like to express my devastation that Hassan didn't have a chance to defect to the Soviet Union. Talking like this within the United States should result in an automatic denaturalization and deportation at best. Oh no, you guys got your beautiful free speech, of course. The free speech that allows him to threaten to murder a bunch of people, apparently.
Actually, free speech doesn't protect that, which is why I'm really annoyed and pissed off with the fact that they haven't arrested him yet.
I'm going to respond to this, be like, you're being authoritarian. What do you mean? Am I not allowed to speak here? No, Hassan, keep yapping. Yap all you want, honestly. It's going to land you in prison one day. And I swear to God, we will be gloating. Like, I just saw Johnny Somali finally get put in prison. All right, Hassan next.
Yes, please.
Put him in there. There's something deeply off about American society when we validate historically illiterate and morally bankrupt figures like Hassan. It's laughable how Ezra Klein claims this man is not the enemy, given inane statements like this. Yale inviting him to speak says everything about how the overturned window has shifted. Anyways, if it couldn't get worse, it can always get worse.
Oh, yeah.
Hassan then quotes his idol, his third favorite man in the world after Hitler and Stalin, apparently. Apparently the cosplay he did earlier really hit, you know?
The U.S. has produced disaster after disaster
after
disaster.
No, we haven't. Where's the proof? Come on, where's your evidence? Say it.
I am reminded, however, of some famous words
spoken
by a guy by the name of Mao Zedong.
Oh, wow, another communist dictator that killed millions of his people.
Speaking with an American journalist
killed
in
millions of his own people. Starvation,
Mao Zedong said
mass
these
murder.
Words. All reactionaries are paper tigers. In appearance, the reactionaries are terrifying. But in reality, they are not so powerful. Speaking of U.S. imperialism, people seem to feel that it is terrifically strong. But it will be proved that the U.S. reactionaries, like all reactionaries in history, do not have much strength. in the United States, there are others who are really strong. The American people. Perhaps Mao was right about this.
Yeah, the American people are strong, and that's the difference between our country and every other country around the fucking world, Hassan, because you literally have communist dictatorships like Russia, to where if you speak up against that government or you do anything that the government don't like, you're going to the gulag and never getting the fuck out. Same thing with China. China will throw you and your whole family into a work camp and or a re-education camp. Basically brainwash your ass. Okay? In Iran, they do the same thing, except they just execute people. They just shoot you or hang you. They do something like that. Okay? Iraq, same thing. Every country around the world is like that. Minus America. I would say, yeah, Korea's not too bad. Of course, hey, Kim Jong-un, no. The other Korea, that's a little bit better, but when it comes to their laws, I'm pretty sure they're about the same as everyone else. That's why America is the best country in the world, because someone like you, who can sit here and have anti-American rhetoric and hate and all this other kind of stuff, has not been imprisoned, hasn't lost any money, hasn't lost any kind of lifestyle whatsoever. That is pure, like, what would you want to call that? I would say influential, right? Like, you're living in a multi-million-dollar home, dude.
But maybe he was a little too early.
The hypocrisy.
After all, being a leftist is about being right, but too early.
Oh, you're retarded. Being right, but too early.
Wow, Hassan. Wow, great speech. We radical lefties like Hassan, we are really smart. We just justified several dictators and the atrocities they committed while simultaneously pretending to hate oppression. They really hate oppression, guys. No kings.
Yeah.
It seems like they only hate it because they aren't the ones oppressing people. That's legitimately it. Also, I love the term reactionaries, right? So he's trying to use a Mao quote and apply it to modern day context. Oh, these reactionaries, the people who react to me shocking my dog? Asmongold, the biggest reactionary there is. Honestly surprised he didn't mention him. Maybe he does later. There's like a whole Q&A section that we're not going to look at this video because it's like 1.5 hours long. Maybe next time. But yeah, I find it interesting that every day he gets more and more mask off. Like, he isn't even pretending anymore. This is the stuff that I was saying before, that he definitely does support these dictators and these evil regimes. And then Hassan Piker fans would hide behind it like, no, he never said that, though. Here he is fucking saying that, though. Class. So then a student responds and gives him his own Mao quote.
And Mr. Piker, because you like Mao so much, I'll end with a quote of his that I think you would do well to study, which is 枪杆子里面出政权.
Nice.
Did you get that? It's political power grows out the barrel of a gun. We do not want a violent world due to a power struggle when American empire falls. America has blood on its hands, but it's better for power to be in American hands than any other.
Damn. I like him. I like that kid.
Even Hassan had to smile at that one. Bro got China mogged. Unlucky, Hassan. Maybe next time. That guy even got your chat glazing him. Right, here we have Hassan's comment section, and they are very mad that Hassan was getting booed. All this hissing at one of our most elite universities is really making hard to discredit the idea that we're ruled over by lizard people. So now they're mad. Okay? All this other time, all these other universities is all fine. But when they boo Hassan, now they're mad. Never been more affirmed of my opinion that American Ivy Leagues are weird and pretentious.
Yes.
What are you kidding me? You people always do this appeal to authority, this appeal to degrees, this appeal to, oh my God, these Ivy League students are so much smarter than you. Oh my God, they're so much more educated. Hassan has his lovely degree from 13 years ago. He's so smart. He's actually well-read on these topics. And now because they're against you, it's like, they're weird and pretentious. Which they are. They absolutely are. But we've at least been consistent on this. Brother, hissing at literally plainly stated facts is so silly, of course.
Facts are still facts.
What facts? I made it up. The Ivy League class is so freaking cringe. Holy shit, I've never felt so lucky to not go to an Ivy League. That crowd was so freaking annoying. Man, Burgoy's universities are strange, silly places. No wonder the economic and political elite end up being such weirdos. You mean Hasan? Hasan is the
Yep.
economical elite here, bro.
Silver spoon.
Multi-millionaire. How did he survive the cringe? He was born in it. He was forged in it. This is somehow worse than terminally online people. You're a Hasan viewer. There is nobody more terminally online than you. Okay, hold up. 60 comments! 60 comments on the Hassan Piker channel. And I'm sure 500 on his stream. I'm not gonna lie, the stomping feet and hissing was annoying as frick. Wait, the stomping? I thought that was clapping. I thought that was like stomping. Banging your table and clapping. Was that also a diss? I don't actually know. Somebody needs to tell me. Yeah, watching the speeches of students was particularly painful as you hear a few Nazis hissing at the most moderate things in existence. Most moderate things as Hasan literally glazes the USSR and justifies like Stalin atrocities. This is the most moderate things, guys. And of course, they're the Nazis. This is giving Slytherin house vibes. Welcome to the Hisanabi podcast. Right, so people are calling out Hasan on Twitter. Watch Yale students orgasmically welcome Hasan Piker, man who said America deserved 9/11 and calls to murder a sitting U.S. senator. Yale is poison. Yeah, were these the same people who were hissing, or was that some different people? I'm confused. Hasan responds, "Did you bust?" What a comedian, guys. Hilarious. First reply, estimates on the number of deaths attributable to Joseph Stalin's regime varying from 6 to 20 million. Hasan supports mass murders. Hasan supports mass murders. I mean, classic. He's a man of the people, guys. It was hot as freak. You did so good, Pookie. I'm proud of you. My little knight got his first sword. What the fuck is wrong with you? Guy's born in New Jersey and is literally a terrorist right here in America. I mean, listen, before I used to defend Hasan against these allegations.
Yeah, he was born in New Jersey, but his family went right back to Turkey right after he was born. So he's not an American citizen.
I try to be really fair, but now he's out there calling everybody terrorists. So of course people are gonna call him back. I'd still defend him against an allegation unless he goes and blows up some place or whatever.
Nah,
but yeah,
he sure
does seem to love him.
Basically
I bust when I see Hasan. No shame in it. You should have some serious fucking shame in that. Did you bust when this happened? It's some shockings, dog. Oh my god, what is this? Hasan claims he got his infamous Cartier glasses from a vintage thrift store. Of course, guys. I don't spend any money. Everything was already gifted to me. I just happen to have all these designer clothes, all these perfect glasses, maybe in my power, perfect size clothes, of course.
Hey, shout out to that. Yeah. What's on the eyes today?
Oh, this is just some vintage. I don't know. I got it at a thrift
can I
store.
see your wrists and fingers?
It's a thrift store, guys. It's a thrift store. You see, this is all covered by
dude
his
has like
dad's
thousands of dollars
loan. You know, he gave him a small loan of $1 million.
And yet
Granddad
he's
with
a
his 30
socialist.
houses. Wow, where does he get these finds? A $20,000 dog from a shelter, now this? This is why people don't like Hasan. Not because he wears what he does, because he's a freaking liar.
Yeah.
The thrift store in question. Like everyone says, Hasan's a fake champagne socialist. Me if I were regarded in line. Yes. I really like the life-size depiction here of his head. They say he picked him up from the thrift store on his way back from getting his designer dog from Craigslist. Willing to bet Hasan's never stepped foot in a thrift store in his life. No, he probably has to make fun of the poor people. We all know he loves doing that, you know, went to Cuba to do that. Not a single truth leaves Hasan's mouth more Pegasus was right. I always am when it comes to Hasan. Oh, this 4,600 bracelet. I got that dumpster diving, dude. Moving on to Mr. Beast getting called out for Team Water. Basically, this happened to...
Okay, so this is going to be a Mr. Beast thing, so that's it for the Hasan stuff, because Mr. Beast is usually always doing some weird shit, so I'm not too surprised on that, especially with the dude, after he said he isn't a billionaire or a millionaire, and matter of fact, he's broke, and he has to borrow money. It's like, motherfucker, liar. Straight up liar. You are one of the most famous YouTubers in all of YouTube. So, yeah, no. But anyways, go check out more Pegasus. Banger video like always. Literally just about Hasan's, like, Yale thing. Go figure. But, yep, there it goes. Proof that, like, the dude literally supports fucking communist dictatorship. Is totally okay with mass murder of total people, genocide and everything, as long as it's not America doing it. If America does it, it's bad. If any other communist country and or Muslim dictatorship does it, he's totally fine for it. It's totally cool. But, yep, that's it for the video, guys. Make sure you go check out more Pegasus and check out my channel sponsor, W.GG, and use my code, TacticalGaming90, for 10% off. Have a good one, guys. Later.